Hi, and welcome to Redefining Your 20s. This is the podcast where we deep dive into different challenges and opportunities while you're in your 20s. I'm your host, Brandy Jones, and I'm here to help you during this transformative decade to really help you with those different challenges and opportunities that you have in your 20s and really redefining those with confidence, courage, and a whole lot of self-love. During your 20s, it can be a time of incredible growth. It can also feel overwhelming and uncertainty of what you go through in your 20s and the different choices that you have to make. So we're going to deep dive into different topics and explore different topics into what you can be expecting in your 20s and what may happen and how to deal with those failures or challenges that may come your way. For me, I'm the older generation of Gen Z, so I do have a few more years in my 20s. But so far in my 20s, I feel like I've lived 10 different lives. I did go the route of getting my degree. That did take me 3 years. So I got my degree in my early 20s, probably when I was 20 or 21. I changed my major a few times. I didn't know what to do after school, especially when COVID hit. And I was already in the corporate world, going through the corporate ladder. So that's kind of the bridge that I've been on. Then when COVID hit, I did get my license. I was a licensed esthetician. I did open up my own business. So I've gone the entrepreneur route. I'm still a licensed esthetician, so I do want to continue that practice. Right now, I don't have that practice anymore, but I did dabble into the entrepreneur route of going into being a licensed esthetician. I did buy a house when I was 25. I do have 3 kids, so I do have the motherhood and the 20s as well. So I've dabbled into a lot of different things while being in my 20s. And so with those different avenues, I feel like I can really help you navigate in your 20s on which way that you decide to go and which route you may decide to go, because it's different for everybody. Nobody's 20s is going to look the same. It may look similar, but nobody's 20s are going to look the same. But we can help you with those different topics on what to explore and really redefine the 20s to make your 20s what you want those to be. In this episode, we're going to look at understanding the significance of your 20s and really embracing the failures that come with your 20s, and then also making goals while in your 20s and how to really redefine those goals, especially when something may happen, realigning, redefining those goals and making those goals your own, as that's the most important piece about being in your 20s. So those are the 3 topics that we're going to really dabble into and really take a look into during this episode. In this episode, we're going to be laying down the foundations of your 20s and taking a look about the significance of why your 20s are important. Usually in your 20s, it's the first time that you have your independence. It's time for self-growth, self-identity, finding out who you are. If that's dabbling into different interests that you may have, and just finding out who you are, growing as yourself, growing in your self-identity. Because when you first turn 20, you don't really know who you are. You don't know where you want to go. You may have an idea of where you want to go. You may start the career choice of where you want to go or start going to school for what you want to do. But when you go in school, that may change. You may change your degree. You may take a look and see, oh, there's all these other options that I didn't think of. There's all these other career choices I didn't think of. How do I get there? So that's kind of finding yourself. Finding your independence in your early 20s is so important. Finding that self-identity on who you are, what you want out of your life. And so it does establish the foundation of when you get older. As you're picking out a major that may take all of your 20s, it may not take all of your 20s. But when you finish that major, is that the career that you really want for the rest of your life? Yes, you can always go back to school, but by the time you're about to hit 30, you may have more responsibilities. You may have rent payment, mortgage payment. You may have kids. You may have other lifeline mistakes that may have happened that's deterring you from getting to where you want to be. So this is a crucial period of finding out, okay, is this what I want to do? Is this where I want to be? Look at different career choices. This is your time to explore. Write down the few different things that you want to do. Look into them, really research them, and research what you may or may not like. You may want to be going to the healthcare field, and then you find out, no, I like working on computers. I want to be in IT or in the tech field, and you want to do those different things. So really own your 20s, really explore your different career choices, explore what you want out of your 20s, because this is setting the foundation of your future, your career choice, or if it's lifelong mistakes that you may make, how do you come back from those while you're in your 20s to be able to set yourself up for success in the future years that you may have. So explore, because this is really going to establish where you're going to be. If you have different interests, take a look at those different interests. If you're not sure how that can look with your career choice, go speak to your counselor. Go to speak to people that are on campus. If you're at a community college, they have counselors there. Use them, utilize them. They're there for you. It's not like you have to pay anybody for those. In the future, you may have to pay a life coach, but this is resources for you. Just get in a time, kind of dabble and explore what you may want to do. Look at the different choices, look at the different avenues, and really sit down and explore what you want to do. Take a look at all those documents that they're giving you, all those different choices that you may have, all the different career choices that you may have. Speak to people in those fields if you can. And then this is a crucial time of building relationships. So at this time, you can start building your relationships. If you're on a college campus, it's a little bit easier. Join as many clubs as you can, as many clubs as your schedule allows to, and meet a ton of people. Build your relationships up. Even if they're the same age as you, even if they're similar in age, similar in stages as you don't know where they'll be in the next 5 to 10 years. They may be your hiring manager. They may be the recruiter. They may be somebody you know that's in the job field that you're wanting to go into. So really build those connections early and keep them either on LinkedIn or your professional profiles. And social media is a big deal, especially when building those relationships, building your brand and building who you are. In social media, you do want to present yourself as a professional. If you're going to be going into the professional field or any field that you may go into, yes, you can post yourself traveling. Yes, you can post yourself with a drink. That is fine, but keep some professionalism when you're going into these fields, as yes, they do take a look at your social medias. That has deterred some people from getting a job. That can also get you from losing your job as well. So keep a professional brand. If you don't have it right now, you can always change up your social medias. Yes, it's nice with the following. Yes, it's nice to get those likes, the different posts. I see it, I'm not one. I've never been one to post that much. I do post mainly my family, or mainly things that I do with my family. As like I said, I do have 3 kids, so I'm posting my kids all the time. But otherwise, I don't post when I'm going out. I post sometimes when I travel, usually when I travel with my kids, but otherwise when I'm traveling with myself or going different places on my own, I don't really post those. I may post something small or something like in my story or on Snapchat, but I don't just post that I'm always out of town. I have vacationed a lot while in my 20s. I've gone to quite a bit of places. On my social media, will you see that? Probably not. But you'll see the vacations that I did take with my kids or relaxing time with my kids. Just because I want to keep that little professionalism. So if I apply to a position or I'm applying to different companies, and they take a look at my social medias, it's clean. They see my family. They see, a little bit about myself, but they don't see too much about myself. So that's the biggest key. Social media can be, a thief for these new positions, or for where you're trying to go to. If you're trying to go to a big company, or just different career avenues. And then you have to understand, in your 20s, you're probably in the entry level positions. So you're going into entry level positions, and if you're wanting to move up the corporate ladder or moving up to higher positions, you have to keep some type of professionalism with you, but also build those relationships early on. So if you're in the entry level, speak to people that are in the next level, or 3rd levels up for you, or 4th levels up for you. Really build those connections with them to see how you can accelerate yourself up into those positions, because you can do it while you're in your 20s. Trust me, I've done it while in my 20s, while I was in my early 20s, accelerate my career and go up the ladder while I've been in my early 20s, which has really set me up for success while being in my older 20s. There's a lot of financial mistakes that can also happen while you're in your 20s. And so that's something that you have to look out for. You're having your first independence. You're living by yourself. You're really, again, getting to know yourself. Don't run into credit card debt trying to impress people. I know you see them online, you see people traveling, you see people maybe doing different things. Don't open up a credit card to try to join them on these vacations. Don't try to, show yourself for something that you're not. You don't want to go in debt while you're in your 20s. I bought a house while I was in my 20s. That's something that you can do, but you cannot start off in your early 20s making those wrong decisions with going into debt, trying to have the latest and newest things. Most likely you're broke in your 20s. Unless you're coming from, family with money. Even if you do have family who's middle class or middle to high class, they may help you with a few things, but still, you don't have your own money right now while you're in your early 20s. Yes, you can build that up if you get a job. And again, you're usually in these entry-level jobs that you're in. And so then once you move up, you start making a little bit more money or a little bit more money after that. And so just save your money. If you can't vacation, if you can't afford the vacation, don't go on vacation. If you can't afford the latest or newest outfit or purse or shoes that are coming out, don't put it on a credit card, especially if you can't pay it right now. When are you expecting to pay it? The whole Afterpay, Klarna, all those other items that they have as well. Yes, those are nice. Have I used them? Yes, of course I use them for my Shein orders. I'm a Shein fanatic. I always go on Shein, order stuff, pay it off with Afterpay. So yes, I use it, but be responsible with using it. Don't have a ton of different credit cards, a ton of different Afterpay payments that you're having to make, because you never know what's going to happen. You may have a car problem. You may have another problem that comes up that you're having to pay for. So you don't want to put yourself in a position that you can't pay that. You don't want to be in extensive debt or credit card debt, just different debts that you have out there that you're not able to pay, because then it adds up and adds up and adds up. And then where are you going to get that money from? So just think about that. I know sometimes you think, okay, once I'm finished with school, I'll be making a ton of money. That's not always the case. Some people get out of school, they didn't build those connections. They didn't, do internships. They weren't able to really discover different avenues, because yes, entry levels do not pay as much as you think that you're going to be getting paid going into that field. So the reality of entry levels, it may be the same amount that you're getting paid working at your job while you're in school or while you're trying to get your degree, if we're being honest, until you move up the ladder or move up to newer positions. So you're not going to be quickly just making money with your degree. So you have to think about that. You won't be able to pay off these other debts that you may have. And so while you're thinking about that, thinking about these entry level, just keep thinking about where you want to be. Have a 5 to 10 year plan about where you want to be. And so that's what we're going to talk about also, is your goals, and how to make those goals and how to redefine those goals. But right now, the importance of your 20s is definitely exploring your options, exploring where you want to be. This may be a year, 2 year, maybe 3 year process that you keep changing, and that's okay, because you want to be happy where you're at. You want to be happy in your career choice. You want to make sure that you are okay with where you're going to be in the next few years. So explore your different options, because this is going to establish where you're at. You have a lot of lifelong decisions that may happen, lifelong mistakes that may happen in different areas. And then you may have kids in your 20s. How do you deal with that? And how do you continue on to where you want to be? And then also the independence. You're independent now. You have to think about your self-identity, your self-growth, all the selves. You have to think about yourself. It is a time to be selfish, especially when you're trying to see where you want to go into. So you really need to take a look into that. Financially, set yourself up financially. This is going to be a topic that we take a look into, because I really want to go in depth on this and financial decisions that I've made that I feel like can help you guys while you're in your early 20s. If that's setting up your 401k early, setting up for retirement early, it's never too early to set up for that. Saving your money, save, and then trying not to go into debt. I've made some mistakes in my early 20s that you guys can probably learn from. But I also bought a house while I was 25, and so I can help you guys explore that avenue if that's something that you guys are looking to do as well. And then social media, you guys be careful with social media, but build your relationships, build connections. If it's on social media that you can build those connections then, because they can open doors for you for different avenues that you are looking into going into. And so you really need to build your connections up, build it early in your 20s, because it's going to help once you go down your career path and go to where you want to be in life. So build those connections as much as possible as you can. And so that's why your 20s are so important, as you're learning different skills, you're learning what you want to do, you're learning who you want to be. And so you have to navigate through that. And then also with the mistakes and different things that may come up, how do you embrace that? We're going to look into embracing your failures. The first thing is that you really have to build resilience. You have to have self-compassion for yourself. You have to, have understanding for yourself. Have that compassion piece. You have it for other people. Why don't you have it for yourself? So make sure that you have that compassion piece. Everybody makes mistakes. Some people's mistakes are a little bit more out there, but I promise you it's probably been done before. But how are you going to get back from these mistakes, from these failures? How do you really redefine these failures? By changing your perspective on this failure. It's not a failure, it's not a setback, it's an opportunity. How do you learn from this opportunity that happened? And so really analyze, look at the areas of improvement that may have happened. For me, I can give you an example. When I was in school, I had a semester that I failed on my classes. And so I was put on academic probation. I knew I wanted to finish my degree. I was close to finishing my degree. And I was all like, how did I have this happen? How did I fail almost all the classes I was taking? And it was my behaviors. I was excited to be at a university. I wasn't going to my classes. When I would go to my classes, I would be half asleep. And it was just different behaviors that I needed to change for the next semester. And so I knew if I didn't pass the next semester, then I would have to take a few semesters off before they would let me take classes again. So I was determined. I had to set goals, analyze what happened the last time, and change those behaviors to make sure, I wanted to finish school. I didn't want to wait. I knew I wanted to take the classes. I knew I could do it. So I had to change my behaviors, change my perspective. But it was mainly change the behaviors, as I was so excited to be at a university. Those who've been to a university, or those who are new to a university, there's going to be a ton of exposures there, especially when you're in your independence for the first time, going off to universities. There's going to be parties probably every day that you can go to. But there's definitely going to be parties every weekend. There's going to be different activities, different things that you dabble into. Some things that you may not even want to go into class, and you want to skip class to go to these different activities to hang out with certain people. And instead, you need to remember your focus as to why you're going to school or why you're paying for that, as that is causing a huge debt already for you. Unless you have, the government paying for it, but they'll pay for it as much as they can. But once you get on academic probation and once you're failing your classes over and over, they're not going to keep paying for that. So they're not going to keep paying for classes that you fail. So you really have to change your mindset. A lot of people talk about growth mindset, and that is the mindset that you have to have. You have to think about, okay, this happened, and instead speak to yourself with self-compassion. Okay, well, I understand that this happened. How can I get here? How can I get to where I want to be? How can I align myself back to where I want to be? And it's really changing that mindset. Sometimes you have to take little steps and pieces from the mistakes that you've done, and start immediately. Start immediately with those steps that you need to get yourself back to where you need to be. If that's, I'm just throwing this out there, but like getting your license suspended. Okay, now that's deterring you from going to class, going to your job, having to ask for rides. Maybe you have a breathalyzer or something in your car, as you see it happen a lot on the college campus, which is really sad. but how do you get your steps back to getting your license, getting your life back together? Yes, now insurance is going to go up. Yes, you may have to get a new car payment. There's just different things that's going to happen in your 20s that while you were at home, you didn't have to deal with those. But now that you're in your 20s, you're going into your adulthood. Those are different things that you're going to have to deal with. Sometimes, friends or different relationships, those will end, and that's going to be hard for you, especially moving on with life or your mental health, and how you're feeling with things. I mean, it can be all so overwhelming. There's so many different aspects in your 20s, so many different things that are going to happen. Sometimes you're not even in the mental space to continue on with your daily life. But how do you, take a minute and pause? Yes, you need that time to breathe. So yes, use that time to breathe. But how do you get back to where you need to be? How do you take these opportunities? So really see the areas of improvement that you need. That's the main piece, is see what are the areas of improvement that need to be fixed from this failure, from this setback that just happened to me, from this life-changing event that may have happened to me. Okay, it happened, but how do I change my life, or how do I look at this as an opportunity to help me move on with life? One of the lifelong, you can call it a mistake, but having kids. Sometimes people have kids while they're in school, while they're in their early 20s. So it's not a mistake. Some people choose to have kids while they're early in their 20s. But sometimes, it may come as a surprise. It may be something that you weren't expecting, but you're still on your journey of either maybe finishing your degree, going through a career path, figuring out your life, but now you also have this child to look after while you're trying to figure out who you are, figuring out your self-identity, also figuring out your mental health and where you're at and where you're at in the mental space. As a lot of things can come with having a child, there's a ton of challenges that come with that. And so you're really going to have to build the resilience to be able to work through that, being able to continue on with your life, continue on with what you want to do. If that's maybe you have to work more, take on another job, while also figuring out what you want to do, because now you have a child to care for. There's so many different setbacks and failures that can happen to you, but you need to, look at, how did this happen? What behaviors how did this lead to this happening? And once you sit down, you can write it down, document, the things that set you back, document your failures, write down, how did this happen? How did you come to this conclusion, and what can you do to fix this? And once you look at that, start taking a look at the little different things that you write down on how you can fix it, what you want your life to look like, and then start working on those. If it's piece by piece or little by little, work on it. Each month, work on something that's going to get you towards where you want to be. As it's going to happen. Something's going to happen in your 20s. Something's going to happen in your early 20s. Something unexpected's going to happen. You may be making straight A's in high school, and then you go into college, and you're not expecting that type of work. I'm going to be honest, high school work is easy. I was in all the advanced level classes. I even took the dual credit classes. Those were easy compared to college. So college is a whole nother beast that you're going to go into. And sometimes you may not go into it. Some people go into trade. Some people go into different trades as well. Some people go the entrepreneur route, which I know what it's like going the entrepreneur route, getting all your stuff together to get you ready to open your business, really promoting your business. But what happens when the clients are not coming in, or it's a slow season? What do you do then? Or what happens if, you have to move out of your building because something happened, or you can't make the payment that month? There's little setbacks that go there. Maybe you need to get a part-time job while you're trying to be an entrepreneur and really build your business. And then it may be a month, you weren't promoting that much. So you have to take a look at the different behaviors that you had, especially because you want this business to be successful. You have a ton of different ideas. And so there can be setbacks with that, with being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. It's great. I love the entrepreneur route. I love the entrepreneur spirit, because I do have that spirit as well. And I have been around a lot of like-minded people with those spirits as well. But it's time to write down your opportunities that you may have, or things that may happen. And then when they do happen, write down, what happened, what caused this. Yes, it may be a slow season, but some people are still building up, and you see that on social media. Were you not maybe active enough? Were you not reaching out? Are there different things that you can do to really get more clients in, get more people in, and really, deep diving into that. Deep dive into your failures, deep dive into your setbacks as to why it happened, so you can help yourself from this setback. Yes, it may happen again. Yes, it may happen 2 or 3 times, but look at it. At each time, maybe a different reason. It may be the same reason. If it's the same reason, why do you keep going back to those different things? If it's the same reason, why do you keep going back to those certain behaviors that are getting you to something that is not your goal, or something as to where you're not wanting to go in life? But also be super compassionate with yourself as you're young. You're just starting out. You're just learning life. You're still learning yourself. You're still learning where you want to go. And it's overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that you're not used to yet. A lot of stuff that you're learning. A lot of people that you really don't know, and you don't really know what's their best interest for you. So you're learning while you're in your 20s, especially your early 20s. You're still figuring out what you want to do, what you like, but you need to try to set yourself up for success. Yes, it's nice going out with friends, but don't make that your whole reality. Yes, it's nice to go out every weekend. Maybe not every day, unless you're on vacation, or unless you have like a little break. But if you have responsibilities, if you have a job to get to, if you have to get to class, to school, just different things, make sure that you're building yourself up, and that you can prevent yourself from making additional failures or making additional setbacks if you learn from what you've already done, or learned, or embracing those failures that you already had. Once you embrace them, write them down, document them, document how you got there. If it happens again, document the reasons, document why it happened, and continue to work on those, continue to work on yourself, continue to build yourself, so you can succeed. And then we need to work on making goals and how we set those goals, and then also redefine those goals when you do have failures. Okay, so for your goals, this is kind of going to be the shorter outline of reaching your goals, as there's so much that's into making goals for yourself while you're in your 20s. So while you're in your 20s, it's imperative that you have goals for yourself, that you know where you want to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. So for the next year, the first year in your 20s, if you're not already, at a campus or in a trade, or figuring out, where you want to go in the next few years, the first year, really, write down what you want, what you may or may not want to do, what you may not know what you want to do. So for the first 6 months, make sure each month you're taking a look into different things that you may want to do. Really research those. Go speak to people out in those fields. Go speak to people that you may know. Go to the campus and figure out who you can speak to, or speak to a counselor. Even if you're not going to the school yet, go to a community college and go take a look and speak to a counselor to really help you figure out what different items that you can take a look at in the first month. Once you have that, once you've cut down onto kind of what you're looking into, and it's still maybe 4 or 5 different areas that you may want to look into, next, just do research the next 6 months. Really get into what you may want to do. I know 6 months is not a long time, but you need to start somewhere. You need to start researching where you want to go to. So by the end of the year, you'll have it figured out. Okay, this is semi of what I want to do. How do I get into that school? How do I get into that field? How do I get into that career path? If it's entrepreneur, how do I start up that business? Who do I speak with to start up that business? So really start there. If that's your 1 year goal, you're not sure what you want to do. If you already know what you want to do, still set a 1 year goal. Okay, so this is where I'm at right now. Where do I want to be at by the end of the year? What different things can I do each month to get me to that position of where I'll be at by the end of the year to set me up for my 2-year plan, 5-year plan, and 10-year plan? So write that down. Be specific on what you want. So I'm going to talk about the SMART goals, making it measurable. So make sure that you can measure and track yourself each month as to where I'm at. And if you're going to make your goal by the end of the year, if I know some months get busy, there's a lot of things going on, but you need to make sure that you're still working on yourself and that you're still building yourself, developing yourself. So each month you need to focus on developing yourself. If you don't know how to develop yourself, find different topics to research, to find different topics to take a look at, to really help develop who you want to be. So find those different topics to really focus on who you want to be, what you want in the next year. Write down your 5-year plan as well. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Is that finishing school? Is that starting a family? There's different things. Is that, excelling in your career, applying to grad school, going to med school? Write down your 5-year plan. And then also write down your 10-year plan. With your 10-year plan, it might change. There's going to be a lot of things going on, but right where you want to be in your 10 years. You don't have to, you can be specific, but you don't have to be as specific for your 10-year plan. Like if you want to make sure you have a good job, you're in a seniority position, you have multiple degrees, you have multiple trades under your belt, you're starting your own business in 10 years. Write it down like that if you want to for your 10 years. The main focus that we need to focus on is our 1 year, 2 year, and 5-year plan. So a 5-year plan is to finish your school. Okay, when you're writing out your 1 year and 2 year plans, how are we going to make sure that we're setting up to be able to be at that 5-year plan? Or if you're needing to apply to grad school, needing to apply to other positions, how do we get you to that? If you're wanting to be not in an entry-level position anymore, but be moved up to different positions, be moved up to a different company, or if there's a certain company that you want to work for, how do we get you there in your 5-year plan? So your 1 year plan, you have to be super specific. If it's just finding out who you are, what you want to do, then again, start that 6 months. Go talk to a counselor, go talk to somebody in the trade that you may want to go into, go talk to somebody in that career field for the first month in January, and then look at what you need to work on those next 6 months, and then the other 6 months really start applying yourself, applying to those different schools or different things that you may need to go into, and being able to adjust after those 6 months so you can start focusing on that. The 2 years is similar to the 1 year. It's a 2-year plan. So once you figure out, if you're not sure what you want to do, once you figure out, this may be the career choice for me, this may be what I want to go into during your 2-year plan, make sure you're actually starting that. Make sure you've adjusted your life that past year to be able to go into either the education, if you need the education for that, or going into the trade school that you're needing to go to, or finding the career path or finding the right people, because you've had that 1 year to really explore, really research, really define what you want. And then celebrate the small wins. So each month, if you're setting certain goals that you want to do or certain things that you want to research and you were able to do that, celebrate it. I celebrate everything that I do. So make sure that you're celebrating yourself, and not just when you have the big wins, but celebrate the small wins. Or if you applied to school, that may be a scary thing to do. Celebrate that. Get yourself something nice to eat, or buy yourself something nice. Celebrate those small goals. And then when you get to the big goal, maybe make it a big celebration, but still celebrate the small little wins that you may have, especially if you're following the outline, or you're following your 1 year plan, you're following your 2 year plan, to get you to your 5-year plan as to where you want to be. It's good to always celebrate yourself, knowing that you're going the direction that you want to get to. And then for your 5-year plan, really track your results as to where you are and if you made it to where you wanted to be in your 5-year plan. If you didn't make it to your 5-year plan, really take a step back and see, why didn't I make it to my 5-year plan? As you had plans set up for each year as to what you wanted to do, you were specific about it. You made it measurable, you made it realistic, which that's the main thing. Make sure that your goals are realistic and that it's something that can actually be achieved and actually can be done. And write down specifically how you're going to get to those goals. So make sure it is realistic goals that you have. Yes, we have goals to shoot for the stars, but make it something that can happen in 5 years, and write down the plan as how it's going to happen in the 5 years, and each year what you're going to be doing to make sure to make that 5-year goal and then staying on track. You have to be flexible with your goals while you're in your 20s. So when I'm saying redefine them, you have to also have the flexibility, as there's going to be so many different things that changes in your 20s. You may change career path, so that's going to change your 5-year plan. So you're going to have to rewrite your 5-year plan. You're going to have to rewrite, how do you get to this new career path? How do you get to this? If you decide to go in a different major, how do you go in that different major? If you're deciding to go to upper level education, you need to really be flexible with your goals, as you may not, your initial 5-year plan when you're 20 may change when you're in your 22s, 23, 24. So be flexible with those goals, but keep working on them, keep developing yourself. Rewrite out your goals, take a look at them. They should be there somewhere where you can see them, but make sure that you're still measuring them, and make sure that they are realistic and relevant to what you want to do. And the main piece is making sure that it's realistic. You see everything on social media, you see people blowing up or something happening. Yes, that can happen, but take a look at yourself. Take a look at what you need to do to get to where you want to be. Some people may have the process looking extremely easy. The process isn't easy. If you're going into a really hard career path, and there may be some setbacks, like we talked about, some setbacks that, maybe you have to take a look back, or it's a test that you have to take and you didn't pass that test. You're going to have to be flexible with your goals. You're going to have to change up your goals, and you're going to have to be okay with that. That's one thing in your 20s. You're going through a path, but it's going to be a curvy path. It's not going to be a straight path. So you're going to have to be okay with when something happens, changing up your goals, as it may not be okay by the end of this year. I was going to be in this position, but now it's going to take me 2 years, and that's okay. But keep working on it. Keep celebrating yourself. Look at it as opportunities. Look at what else can I do to be able to get to where I was wanting to go to. So be okay with that. Be okay with flexibility with your goals, as you're really going to need that in your 20s. It's not going to be a straight path. Your 5-year goals that you write initially while you're in your 20s is most likely going to change. So you still write it out. Yes, it might change. It's most likely going to change. But be okay with that. Be okay with the flexibility. Be okay with changing up your goals if you need to. Just because that's how it is in your 20s. There's so many unexpected stuff that's going to happen. There's a ton of uncertainty. You're going to change your mind. You're finding out who you are right now. You're finding out your interests. When you were in high school, or you're in your teen years, and you thought that you wanted to go one way in life, but you want to go in a completely different direction. Okay, let's start writing out the goals as how do we get to that other direction that we're wanting to take now. So be prepared for that. And if it happens, it happens. You didn't waste a year. You didn't waste 2 years. You still develop yourself. You still got a skill set. You still built those relationships. So don't look at it as a failure. Just look at it as an opportunity, as, okay, now I'm finding what I really like, what I want to do, and this is going to make me happy for the rest of your life. So be happy for yourself. Celebrate that. You found something that you didn't want to do, but now you want to do this. And you know that's going to make you happy, you're excited for it, celebrate it. um, Make sure you are excited for it, make sure this is something that you want to do, and really research, take a look more into it. But the main thing is make sure that you're making goals for yourself, make sure that you're following those goals, writing those goals down. Have a goal for each month. That's what I say. If you're writing a year out goals, what you want to do by the end of the year, okay, what are you doing each month to get to that goal? And if you want to get even more specific, what are you doing each week to be able to get to the goal by the end of the year? But usually a month is a little bit easier because, there's different things that go on each month. So you may not be able to do something each week, but at least complete it within that month and make sure that you do complete that goal. That's going to get you closer to your 1 year goal, which is going to get you closer to your 5-year goal, to your 10-year goal. Your 10-year goal is probably not going to look the same, but at least if you have an idea of like a background, okay, I want to be in this position, or I want to be in this level in my career. I want to start a family, I want to do different things. I want to buy a house, I want to move this area, I want to move to another state. You can make that happen, but the thing is, how are you going to make that happen? So you need to make sure that you're writing down how are you going to make that happen, and really following through each month on how you're going to make that happen. Especially with your 1 year, 2 year goals. Those are the main goals that you're really focusing on right now, to get you to the 5 to 10 year goals. Your 5 to 10 year goals, that doesn't mean when you're 25, when you're 30. No, because when you're 22, your 5-year plan may change. So that's a new 5-year plan. That's a new 10-year plan. But always have a plan for yourself. Always keep working towards different things for yourself in your life. Giving yourself meaning, giving yourself purpose. Do things that make you happy. Set goals that's going to make you happy. Set goals on the life that you're going to want to live in your 20s. Your 20s are yours. Your 20s are to explore what you want in this life. So the 20s are for you. You're really taking a look at who you are, especially with this independence that you newfoundly have. Some people stay at home, and that's okay. You're still looking at who you are, what you want to do, what your interests are, making new friends, meeting new people. Are those friends good for you? We'll see. Are they helping you build onto where you want to go to, or are they bringing different downfalls for you? So that's for you to really take a look at. That's for you to really learn yourself, pushing yourself with your goals, having like-minded people as well that are working on goals, and having conversations about your goals with people. I know sometimes we like to keep that in until our goals are actually towards, I guess we actually meet our goals. But then it's also good to have people on your side and have people cheering you on, have people making sure that counting you accountable, because you have to hold yourself accountable. And that can be extremely hard to do, is keeping yourself accountable. So having a team behind you, or having people behind you that really believe in you, and making you accountable for your goals that you've set for yourself, if it's each month or for the whole year, for the next 2 years, or for your 5-year plan. The 1-year plan should be evaluated each year, as it's a 1-year plan. Each month you have little goals that you set for yourself on how you're going to meet that 1-year plan. That's going to get you to your 5-year, 10-year plan. So just remember who you are, remember what you want, and really embrace that for your 20s, so we can redefine your 20s to making it to what you want in life. You don't want the years to just pass by and you have no goals or nothing that you're working towards, and then you're in your mid-20s and you didn't work towards anything, or you didn't work towards any of your goals. We want to make sure that that's outlined each year on what we're going to do to make sure to meet your goals, that where you want to be at, and then have that flexibility as well. As, okay, maybe I didn't get this when I was 25, but here I'm 27. I'm in a better mental space, better position as to where I'm at in my life. So that's kind of where we want to get you at. So just start. If you haven't started yet, start today. It doesn't matter that it's the middle of the year. Have a 1-year plan from September to September. And just write down what you're going to be doing each month, so by the next time it's September, you're in a position that you want to be. Or if you don't know where you want to be, let's start the researching. Let's start going to the community colleges or the campus and going to schedule an appointment with the counselor to really explore different career paths and where you can be. Or if it's a trade that you want to look at, go to the school or go to where you can get the trade and speak to them and speak to, how do I start this process? And then set yourself up for a whole year. If it's something like, okay, maybe I need to change my work schedule. Maybe I need to find a different job so I can go to school or go to this trade school to be able to help me. If you're wanting to grow where you're at, find a mentor, find somebody to help you grow in that. But yes, start today. If you haven't wrote down your 1 year goals and you don't have something for each month to help you meet your 1 year goal, start today and write that down. As you have to have goals, you have to have a plan for those goals and make it realistic. What can happen in a year? There's so many things that can happen in a year, but make sure you're developing yourself and really working on yourself over this year to really help you get to where you want to be, and making sure that you're making your 20s what you want it to be as well. Thank you for watching Redefining Your 20s. In this episode, again, we looked at our foundations of success in our 20s. Understanding the significance of our 20s is so important to understand why your 20s are important. It's not just waste away years or having fun. So really looking at the significance of your 20s and redefining how you look at your 20s. And then we talked about embracing our failures. Look at those as opportunities. That's the main piece. Just look at those as opportunities. And then making goals. If you haven't started yet, start now. Maybe your 1 year goal starts in September each year, and that is fine. That is your journey. That is your 20s. In the next episode, we're going to look at imposter syndrome in your 20s. Especially in your 20s, this is so important, is imposter syndrome, overcoming imposter syndrome, because you're still learning who you are. You're still learning what you want, what your interests are, and so we have to look at overcoming the imposter syndrome and building confidence in that area and confidence in who you are, and if you're still on the journey of learning who you are, building your confidence in that. So that's what we're going to take a look at next time, is overcoming imposter syndrome. But thank you guys for watching, or thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you.